people. My name is Councillor Stephen Rowe. And hello, please come in, join us, grab a seat.
Give your name and sit where you like to sit.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you. Okay, so as I say, my name is Councillor Stephen Rowe. I'm chairman of this panel. Councillor Andrew Haig is vice chairman of the panel, obviously in attendance. I'd like to welcome the following senior officers: Andrew Morris, Head of Service, Leaving Care and Supported Living; Deborah Crawford, Head of Service, Fostering and Adoption; Paul Fisher, Corporate Parenting Manager, and we've also got Ben Lilly, Supervisor. Can I remind you the meeting is being recorded and the recording will be uploaded to the County Council's website after the meeting has concluded. I would therefore like to remind you all of your comments, that all of your comments will be accessible online and can be reported by the media. I would like to begin with a health and safety announcement. There is no fire drill planned this morning. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, we need to leave the building through the rear doors. When we'll then wait in the car park for further instructions. Also, I'll remind you to turn off the noise on your mobiles and laptops and iPads. And if you have any questions or wish to make any statements during the course of the meeting, please can you raise your hand, and my vice chairman will then take note of it. So we move on to the formal agenda. First off, apologies for absence, stroke replacement members. Emily, do we have any?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. We have apologies from Caroline Sanders, our LPFT rep, Councillor Nicola Clark, Councillor Mark Whittington and Councillor Colin Matthews, and we have Councillor Linda Wootton as a replacement for Colin Matthews today.
Great, yes, thank you, Linda, for filling in there.
Thank you.
Item 2 is declaration of members' interest. Do any members wish to declare any interest that has not been declared previously in their pecuniary interest forms? No, good. Item 3, minutes of the meeting of the panel of the 14th of March 2024. This item is to confirm the minutes of our previous meeting, which can be found on pages 3 to 8 of the agenda pack. Can I propose that they are a true record and ask for a seconder, please? Councillor Norcia, thank you very much. We will now vote on the minutes. You are voting on whether you agree that the minutes are correct. All those in favour? And against and abstention. Thank you. Thank you. Those minutes are agreed. Item 4 is announcements. I would like to remind members that there is a workshop on employment education and training in relation to children in care and care leavers, which has been arranged by the Council Development Group for Tuesday, the 5th of June at 2 o'clock via Teams. Could I ask you, if you haven't responded to the appointment, to do so, please? I attended one of my favourite events, the Fostering Wars, held on the 19th of April, which I must say was superbly run. Thank you, Deborah. It really was good. Your team was fantastic. The highlight for me, I was sat with Margaret and Robert Isdale, who have been fostering, I think she's had for since 1975. Yes. Lovely couple. They won the Lifetime Achievement Award. I spoke to that's it off. I spoke to Robert and said, what are you going to find to do? Because the suggestion was that they were going to retire. And he said, oh, I've got plenty to do. I then went on and spoke to Margaret and said, have you got anything to do? No. I thought, I'm not so sure as retirement's coming. And that proved to be the case. They're going to do respite care, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
Lovely couple. Welcome. I mean, the awards to me are just superb. Sit and listen to what some people are prepared to do for our care for children. The only thing that I did get slightly wrong during my little bit at the end, I wanted to mention Anne and Polly, because whilst their names came up 2 or 3 times during the events, nothing came up about thanking you for attending this panel your contributions, and they are appreciated. So thank you very much. The next thing that we have coming up are the Fab Awards, which will be held on Saturday, the 22nd of June. Those are just something different. So I encourage anybody that wants to come along, come along. Ben's going to up them later. He's going to sneak it into his report.
It's a little bit in the report, so I'll tell you a bit about it. But
Yeah.
It's a big piece of work that we do.
It really is a super event. Yeah, important to go to that, just for your own education. And finally, from my point of view, Andy Morris and I did what we've got one council left to do. We did our corporate parenting presentation for West Lindsey on Teams last night. We had, I think it's 8 or 9 councillors joined us. I thought they weren't going to get involved, but they saved all their questions to the end and their contributions to the end, and it really was well supported. And they were very complimentary about our service, not just what Andrew and I were doing, but the whole service, which I thought was nice. They didn't need to say that. We've got one left to arrange, which
East Lindsey.
yeah, East Lindsey. So that's my next target, and then we'll have done all the district councils and the City of Lincoln. We've been to Boston twice, and we've been to North East Links. So that's me finished. Andy, have you got anything that you wish to mention? Okay, that's great, thank you. So we move on to item 5, which is the corporate parenting panel review. This item's on page 9 to 18 of the agenda pack. Sets out proposed changes to the panel, aim to achieve tangible outcomes for young people within the authority's care. The report will be presented by Andrew Morris, Head of Service, Leaving Care and Supported Living. The panel is invited to give consideration to suggested changes and offer comments on the proposals. Okay, Andy, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, and this is a paper here for the corporate parenting panel to update the brief members of this panel about something that we go into the full council. It's this month, isn't it? It's made full council for a constitutional change, a recommendation of constitutional change. And this is about bringing the paper to you for your awareness about what's being proposed and how we're going to adapt and change how the corporate parenting panel works. So it's first of all to say, just in the paper, I think it recognises that we have an engaged and well-represented corporate parenting panel, and that this agenda has really started to drive. And I think over the last few years, it's adapted and started to move in a way that's changing the services that we deliver to young people. But we want to make it, and our aspiration is corporate parenting panel less corporate, more parenting. And this is about bringing to life the corporate parenting panel process. And this recommendation brings about a number of subtle changes to it, but still puts corporate parenting on very much the pedestal that it needs to be, about reflecting the needs of our looked after children and our care leavers. So I won't go through the report in too much detail, but to say that nationally there is a recommendation, and the appendices to the report was a review of corporate parenting by the chief advisor to the Secretary of State around the needs of care leavers and what corporate parenting panel should look like. So we've used a lot of his report. I believe the report was 2021. So it's been a number of years ago this recommendation was made. We've been working slowly through the process with Democratic Services. Thank you for all the support from Dem Services around this, making sure that we get this right, that our panel can become less corporate, more parenting. So the proposals are really to look at how we change how this panel works. But first of all, say that this recommendation to full council has been through Children's DLT, Executive DLT, and it will be consideration at full council, but also heard here. So it's been through the usual process before, and there's been any suggestions to change. But let's go for more parents. It's about putting young people at the heart of the process and about how we encourage the representation, the views, and probably the presence of young people at corporate parenting panel to make it about them and how they're driving the agenda, and the agenda is what they want us to consider. And our views and our work that we do here really affect and change within service, so that young people in care and leaving care have their views heard, and we make organisational changes and recommendations based on what they say. So what we're looking to do is envisage making 6 simple changes to the corporate parenting panel process. Is first of all making the corporate parenting panel thematic. So each meeting will have a theme, and some of those themes would be health, accommodation, permanence, education, employment and training, fostering. Whatever we wanted a particular agenda to be would then be supported by Ben's team in terms of participation and our participation services in leaving care to take the issues and things we're going to discuss to a group of young people to capture their views before we prepare papers and the representation to come to members, present the information to you based on a thematic basis. So we could really make a difference to what the young people want us to hear and what we're going to listen to young people, but also it gives us an ability with a feedback loop to go back to young people and say, as a result of this, corporate parenting made these recommendations. So young people aren't just being heard, but they're actually finding out that their views and their ideas are making organisational change to the services that are being delivered to them. We're looking at changing the performance reporting process so that performance reporting is thematic based on the theme that's being brought to corporate parenting panel. But I wanted to say that in terms of our standard quarterly reporting, we would still ordinarily present those to children's scrutiny and to this panel as well. So we're not going to take away the quarterly reporting because I think that's key information from children's services that you as corporate parenting panel members need to hear. We're going to change the governance arrangements of corporate parenting panel. And the key thing is going to be is about taking these meetings offline in terms of the live streaming, because what we want to do is encourage the presence of young people at these meetings. And as they stand, I wouldn't want one of my looked after children or care leavers to be present in the room and be available on screen for the public to see. And what we're hoping to do, this isn't going to happen overnight, unfortunately, if it's agreed at full council, but we're hoping to encourage and work out the way to encourage young people into these meetings so that they can give their views and have live feedback from a care experienced person in foster care, maybe somebody from supported living, a care experienced young person who's left care, somebody at university. All those different voices and views we could hear that would change how we present information to you as members for scrutiny to oversee what's being delivered for looked after children and care leavers. We're looking at using different methods of engagement, virtual engagement, voices for choices engagement that Ben will update later, and make an actual presence in the meeting room to encourage, again, new methods of information coming into the room, and demonstrates our dedication to our children in care by proving that what they bring to us here is heard and we feed back to them what we did about what they said. So there's a genuine feedback loop, which will hopefully encourage more young people to give us their views. But sometimes I know what it's like for myself. If I give a view and I don't get any feedback from what my view was, I'm not encouraged to give, it doesn't necessarily motivate me to give my view again. And the same can be said for our young people. And also for me, this reaffirms the role of the corporate parenting panel in a new way that gives us an ability to be more flexible and creative in what you as elected members might want to hear and us as officers want to bring to you to raise awareness of particular issues that might need airing consideration. But what it also does, it gives us the ability to invite in other partners into this meeting. For example, on a thematic basis, if we were going to talk about the roles of our district councillors, as we were talking about last night, we could invite senior officers and district councillors to the meeting to come and talk about what it is and present data and information about what it is they do for our looked after children and care leavers. And that brings scrutiny not just of the local authorities involved, but the wider corporate parenting partners, for example, health, mental health, district councils, the police, and all those other organisations that work with our young people and have a role in safeguarding and promoting their welfare. So I won't go into too many details that's within the paper, but I have broken each of the areas that we're looking to change down into more detailed information. And I mentioned that we're going to keep the quarterly reporting as is, but also give you the opportunity to ask for particular performance information around a particular theme that we bring to corporate parenting. Outside of that, if this is agreed at full council in May, then we're going to pull together a meeting with myself and Paul and a number of the heads of service with Council Road to have a look at what those first exploratory themes might be. And I've invited health colleagues to that meeting as well, so we can look at what those first thematic meetings will be, and we'll give this a go and see how we get young people's voice into the room. What I would like to say to corporate parents panelists, I think this is going to be a bit of an exploration for us all as we do something different. A number of authorities are trying this across the country now, so I'm going to speak to other colleagues and see what they're experiencing finding. But corporate parenting as it wasn't necessarily capturing the views of our young people. And to us, that's the most important thing, that this panel serves a function for scrutiny as well as the young people that we're here to represent. So happy to take any questions.
Or suggestions or thoughts. It's not set in stone. This is
Not until council.
basically at the moment what's happening is that we have to get authority from the council to make the changes, but the changes aren't everything that Andy's read out. It's just that we won't have to stream it. We answer to full council anyway here. The expectation, and I'd be interested on feedback at the end of the meeting if we can, is that the meetings will be held in here rather than council chamber. But yes, any questions or any thoughts? And
Thank you, Chair. Andy, it's a great idea what provision can we provide children that want to remain anonymous or don't want their identity to be disclosed to a wider group of people, including us? I think we should look at various ways that we can provide that anonymity.
Yeah, sure. It's a good question. It's a good point. What the aspiration is if young people are confident and feel and want to, we will find, if we can, a way to get some views probably live fed into the meeting, but also the opportunity through our participation teams to capture their views and thoughts in an anonymous way, present them to corporate parenting panel, completely anonymised. A young person in our care said this. So there'll be two ways we could do it. And actually, I don't think in the early stages we're going to be having young people in the room straight away. I think we need to find the right people that are confident to do that as well, and people that aren't going to feel able to or want to come into the room to present information. But I think what you will get is using our participation team to take the theme of the meeting to our young people to see if there's anything they want to add. They will be able to present information to us in an anonymised way.
Any thoughts or? Yes, Lynn.
Thank you, Chairman. I read this with great interest because I've been on this panel in the past, and I think the thematic thing is a brilliant idea because I think it would be more interesting as a member and involving other people. In some of your possible changes to the Constitution, I think you quote involving district councillors. And I'd like to know how you think that could work. You just said that you've had some conversation with the 7 district councils and Lincoln Council. And also it stipulates here that you'd like 3 dual hatters, really, county councillors that are also district councillors. And I know in the past, district councils have been involved because they're helping care leavers with getting housing, etc. So that's the start for me. Thank you, Chairman.
First of all, some of the members around the panel already are dual hatters. That's the right terminology, isn't it? Yeah. Dual hatters. So we're looking. It will be for Democratic Services and the political representation to select who sits on corporate parent panel, with the aspiration of having people that carry both of those responsibilities to make sure that's fed into the meeting. But also, if we speak specifically about a theme that relates to district councils, see how we could invite senior officers and members from those district councils to this panel to come and speak about what it is they're delivering and why. And from the roadshows that Councillor Rowe and I have been taking around the district councils, it's been really enjoyable, actually heartening to point out to councillors what they have achieved over the last 5-6 years. For example, council tax exemption for all care leavers up to the age of 25, free leisure access, priority allocation on housing, freedom to move across housing registers across all 7 district councils to have local connection to Lincolnshire. And a lot of councillors actually, because they haven't necessarily been in their seat for the last 5-6 years, were really hard to, we didn't know we'd achieved that. You know, so it'd be really nice maybe to have some of us councillors in the room to think about what else is district councils oversee and deliver that's different to the county council that we could utilise to benefit our looked after children and care leavers.
Anybody else wish to make a comment or have a thought? No, that's great. Thank you very much, Andy. So that concludes this discussion. I propose that the panel has reviewed the report and supports the suggested changes to the corporate parenting panel. Can I ask you to raise your hand if you're in agreement, please? Yeah, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Andy. Agenda item 6 is Lincolnshire Children in Care Council Voices for Choices V4C update report. This item is on pages 19 to 24 of the agenda pack and provides a summary of the recent activities regarding the Lincolnshire Children in Care Council Voices for Choices V4C and the actions planned to support future progress. The summary covers the period between October 23 and April 24. The report will be presented by Ben Lilly, Practice Supervisor for Quality Standards, and the panel is invited to provide comment and steer regarding V4C activities and meetings undertaken within the reporting period, future planning and delivery of V4C meetings and activities. Thank you, Ben.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for the introduction. That's great. So this report covers our most recent activities up until April 2024 from October 2023. And I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of what's going on in May and June as well. So so the Children in Care Council, I think, as everybody hopefully around the table knows, is it's a mechanism and a forum for us to gain the views of children and people who are in care. So since September 2023, we've changed the format of delivery, and that's been based on feedback from the children and young people. We've moved to daytime meetings in school holiday times, and that's helped with like transport and time, and it's enabled us to provide nice food for them and some fun activities. So this report talks about how things have gone since then, essentially. So in September, when we had the first meeting, we had 13 young people attend, and the meetings are very much focused around looking at our caring promise. So talking to the young people about their experiences of education, employment, the support they've received, their home life, and just getting their feedback. As time has gone, and you can see here with the numbers, our numbers of engagements fluctuate, and it's becoming clear that when we put on some form of fun activity, the numbers increase. When we have a meeting where we have a duller activity, such as, for example, a cooking session or a first aid session, it's not quite as popular. So, for example, we had in the October half term, we had the escape rooms in Lincoln, where we had 19 young people attend. We've had a meeting and a trip to see a pantomime at the Theatre Royal, where we had 14. So there's a clear kind of picture, I think, is coming through over recent months. So our meetings are taking place in holiday times, but there's also some online meetings happening in between. And that's with regard to, as the report talks about in here, the development of a training resource. So what the young people have talked about is they want to develop some form of training resource that can be shared with professionals and carers, which gives their views. So, you know, they want to give their views about how they sometimes feel about being labelled as being a child in care. They want to talk about the bullying that some of them have experienced and the help they've received around that. They want to talk about the reasons why children are in care and the fact actually it's not always a negative reason. And they also want to talk about the positives of being in care as well, because that does come out in our meetings, in our Children in Care Council meetings. Young people do talk about their positive experiences when we sort of ask them about it. So yeah, there is this thing about, and I get what the young people are saying, that children in care is seen as a negative thing out there in the world, when actually they want to challenge that in some respects, which I think does reflect very well on the support that our children and young people receive from our frontline staff, really. So some of the work that has been going on really is about trying to develop that resource, that training resource, and how that is going to be delivered, and that is proving to be quite an ongoing task, really. So that's happening throughout this year. The group has also been reviewing undertaking a review of the council's offer to care leavers, so they're providing some feedback around that as well. We've been consulting with them around the Fab Awards. So the Fab Awards, like Councillor Rose said, is taking place next month. It's a very, very big event to organise. There's about 700 children and young people have been nominated for awards. So we talked to the young people about how that event will look and what they want to see us being involved in that event. So they're giving us feedback around that the whole time as well. The other thing that is taking place currently is we've been asked to lead an East Midlands regional participation group to develop another training resource to use across the region with students, social work and youth work students and professional staff in the different local authorities. And we're doing that in conjunction with Nottingham Trent University. So the plan there is for some of our young people to attend a day at Nottingham Trent University to talk about their experiences, and for that to be filmed and then included in an online resource. So those are the main things that the Children in Care Council has been involved in over the last number of months, and we are trying to progress these training resources. So that's kind of where the focus of the most recent meetings has been taking place along with the plans for the Fab Awards. So coming up, we have obviously the Fab Awards in June. We have our next Children Council meeting in May, half term. So I think councillors, members, relevant ones are invited to that. That's taking place in Lincoln, and the afternoon activity is a Nerf gun war for anybody who wants to take part in that. So we're hoping that numbers will be good for that event. In terms of, again, trying to increase the engagement and involvement of our children and people in the Children Care Council, our participation officers are going around meeting frontline teams and talking to frontline teams. And emails have gone out this week to our children care, to our two main children care teams, and to Bernardo's as well, and all the other teams, to encourage staff to nominate young people to attend and our next meeting. So we're finding numbers are fluctuating, engagement is varying. There does seem to be a bit of a theme that the more exciting an activity we put on, we do get more attendees. But there's issues with that in terms of budget and transport and various issues around that. But just wanted to reassure or provide any assurance I can to the corporate parents panel that we are doing everything we can to market the Children Care Council, to raise awareness of it, and to hopefully encourage young people to attend. So that's where we are currently. The final thing I just wanted to update, because it's very new. In June as well, we are just in the process of finalising an event for care leavers to come to on the 10th of June to give feedback about the Leaving Care Service, and that's taking place at a go-karting centre in Lincoln. So again, if you want to do some go-karting, the option is there for you. But that's the end of the report. So I'm more than happy to invite any questions or comments.
So do we have any questions or comments?
Well, thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the report. Is there a minimum number that we say the event won't take place if it falls below this number?
Okay. In my head, I have a minimum number, but sometimes on the day, that minimum number goes below. So the meeting that we had at Screddington Community Centre, the cooking session, we had 9 young people due to attend, and on the morning we had 5 cancellations, so, or didn't, just no shows. So in the end we were left with 4 young people. We've kind of had, like in previous sort of times, a sort of a background figure of 6 as a minimum number, but unfortunately we have had occasions where that number has gone below that due to just last minute cancellations or no shows really.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah, brilliant.
And the other question I've got is there a better time of the day when there's a better take-up, i.e. mornings are better than afternoons, or afternoons are better than evenings because they'd rather watch television in the evening?
The definite feedback we've had from previous times is evenings is the worst option. So we used to have a lot of the meetings in the evenings, and the issue there is they weren't starting till sort of 6:30 or 7 o'clock, and some of the people were saying we don't get home till 9, 8:30, and then they don't want to come out after being at school. So what we can see from some of these events is we have had higher attendance in school holidays in the daytime, and the feedback has been, even when some haven't been able to attend, they've said it's for other reasons, that they've got other stuff on, but it does allow the flexibility to help to arrange transport when it's in the daytimes and school holidays, and we do get more time so they can have some food and we can fit in a better activity. So I think how we're currently doing it, I think we need to carry on to get a more fuller picture. But what we're doing is based on the feedback of the young people, really, how we do it at the moment.
Anybody else? Yes. No.
Just your report, I can go for the walk with you and Galpo, but I'm not in the country, so unfortunately. It is very interesting. You know, for really when you put on, the children in the care, is it the local or they come from far away? You know, like instant, like you have like a 19 Lincoln, is it more say in Lincoln? Or other, only 6 people turn online, even like you don't need to turn out, you can do online.
Yeah.
Why so low the 6? Because you sit in your
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
Theater 14. That's still Lincoln. Like more in Lincoln children on the outskirts of Lincoln.
Yeah.
You're talking about cooking only for in Sleaford.
Yeah.
If the children in Lincoln, how are you going to get to Sleaford?
So we put on transport for all of them. So the ones who come to Lincoln, they come from Sleaford, Grantham, Gainsborough, furthest ones from Wisbech. So yeah, we don't find the geography of it actually so much of a challenge because we're able to arrange transport. We do want to make the meetings go around county more, but yeah, we don't think they're happy to come and travel. It's the evenings is when they weren't happy to travel. But yeah, they come from. It's not just 19 young people from Lincoln or 14 at the theatre or just from Lincoln. They come from all over.
You know, I mean, like, is it good? We put it on, but how to promote the children to come forward?
Yes, and
That's a
I agree.
important
Yeah.
bit. How you selling it? I mean, last week I went to the young carer, Smiling Cook in high school in Boston.
Yeah.
Children were queuing to come to do cooking class. You know, at that school, and
Yeah.
I was so surprised. For an hour, 2 hours, they really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And one kid wanted to come and join, but she too late because the teacher not allow her.
Yeah.
So depend how you sell it.
Yeah. So in terms of raising awareness about the Children Care Council, we send regular comms out in the foster care newsletter. And like I was saying in the report, our staff go and are visiting all the different frontline teams on an ongoing basis just to raise awareness of the Children Care Council. And we've got links with our certain workers in our children care teams who just this week are sending out emails to all the social workers in those teams to say, please nominate one young person who may be interested in attending. So we're trying all the time to raise awareness, and you know the frontline workers I think are hopefully doing that and trying their best. And you know, ultimately, you know, it's a voluntary group, and some of the feedback we do get is they don't feel they need to attend because they're happy in their lives, and they don't necessarily want to attend that kind of group, and they've got the things on as well.
I think depend how we go to try to sell to bring them out. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, in that group, I asked why you come and say so I can meet some new friends.
Yeah.
That's the point. And
That's part of what
I think, and the lady who organized it, Deputy Head, he said we send the email out on the Wednesday before event to tell them what you need to bring.
Yes.
You know, but they provide all the ingredient anyhow, but to bring the tin and whatever. And some quite interesting, you know, they say, oh, I enjoyed it. I said, why didn't you come and show how to cook Thai food? So I offered myself to do that. So they will invite me. So you put in your thing in Sleaford, I can go there to show you how to cook Thai food. I can tell you people more enjoy than the cook basic cake and that.
Yeah.
More adventure. So you think about that.
Get your booked in for
When I'm
time for
free,
lesson.
There as well. So, Mayor.
yeah, you know, I mean, I understand the care, you know, children and that, but I think we have to try to do something now more appealing. You know, that's the way I think. If I'm a teenager or I'm a kid, I want, I don't want to do the, you know, put the video game on there, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll just
thank you.
pick up that. The cooking one is one of the only ones that I've attended that was disappointing,
Yeah.
but we still got good feedback.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it might be worth actually directing the invites to the young people themselves, because You know, obviously it's the foster carers that get the fostering.
Yeah, we have done that before.
And also just maybe the social workers on their visit actually having a focus invite to the children.
We do that. We have invited them direct to children and people before as well, and we'll do that again.
Because I know my young person, if I just went around without that direct invite, be like,
I think before how we can make them feel assured to come out to on this event. It seems like to make a first step out because they feel maybe they don't want to come out. How we can make more assurance for them to join on this, you know. So if you direct them, they're still not, you know, not half 50-50, and somehow you need to be like a choice. In the sense to come out. That's more important. They have to be able to, because they're in the care, whatever, they need to be able to show from us to say, oh, that's not bad, it's okay. It's not mental judging. You know, I come from here, I come from there. Somewhere you have to find a way to make children feel like it's fun.
I think, and we often have the key worker, the worker who's working most closely with that young person, sometimes brings them along, helps them and sits with them and gives them that reassurance to help build their confidence to attend, basically hold their hand essentially to walk them into the meeting and provide that support. So that does happen. But it's an ongoing challenge to.
Let's try to make that right. How you go to make that right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Ben, I think you have a fun job. I've been to Fab Awards and it was fabulous. It really was. But on a more serious note, I didn't know there was a Children in Care Council, which I think is great. And I'm glad we're going to the council this month because all of us, all 70 plus maybe, we're all corporate parents. And I, for one, take that role very seriously, because I'm a visiting member, and I think it's good, and I think communication is key. I really do, and we all need that reminder that we're corporate parents. And I think it's cracking. You've got council, and I hope all the children that are involved in it, you know, really enjoy it, because all of us, we enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the comments.
Anybody else want to comment or no? Just to add a couple of bits. Even the 4 people, which I think were 2 pairs of siblings, if I remember right. Yeah, there was things that came out of that was relevant, that was thought provoking for us, certainly for myself. The question, and that when Andy and I do the corporate parenting presentation, we tell district councillors about it. We say, it can be a bit savage at times. They don't pull any punches. They actually say what they think and they ask questions. And we enticing them to come with activities, which I understand is a problem from a funding point of view. But the value is there. We do get constructive things from it, and we do get direction for where things need to be changed. And one of the biggest things, just as an example, is we had several young people telling us that whilst in school and the register's been read out, they are identified as children in care or care for children. That was immediately jumped on by all the officers really, but Heather Sandy certainly got involved with it. So things do come out of it, and there is value, but funding obviously can be a problem at big events. So yes, Paul.
Sorry, Steve. It's just a thought really, because obviously I've been in different roles, and obviously council members change, and again it's about understanding maybe participation with young people. I just wondered it'd be useful maybe to bring to another meeting the full range of how we engage with young people across the board, because obviously the particular report is about voices for choices for young people. But actually, as an authority and a corporate parents, we engage with them on many, many different levels in many, many different ways, both formally and informally. And Voices for Choices and the kind of young inspectors is just one element of that engagement and getting young people's voices through. So I just wondered whether it'd be worth coming back at some point just to say, well, actually, this is the full scope of what we do, both on a regular basis, but actually on an ad hoc basis when we want young people's views or kind of get to that sharing of information from them. Because events are very good, you know, and they have a value, but actually there's a lot of work that goes on in the background, getting those young people's voices that isn't around that kind of events, around that cooking or whatever, where we want to engage those hard to reach young people as well. And that's a lot of work that obviously the participation team do, the independent reviewing officers do, the social workers do, the leaving care workers do. And I was more, I suppose, a question to council in terms of, is everybody aware of all of those kind of mechanisms and what that kind of means and how that fits in?
Yes, I think you're right.
That's a good point. A couple of weeks ago, I got invited to the children who like to live in Mablethorpe. It was studied by Lincoln University. They do the survey, work with the children at school in Mablethorpe. And they go around and ask different age children what you want for your area, why you want to live here, what you're looking for, the council or school, whatever to do to make it better. They do survey and the children make a postcard on different things, what they like. They have children come and do presentation and then they give you 10 things, what you think we need in the town, what we think. And when they come out, some of them, they have from like East Lindsay Council or different care professional from even police and all that. One subject he come because some people shouting they want second year school in Mablethorpe. And some children, they said they don't want second year school. They want like a training center. And so they want a paper. Say how we could do stop like you said bullying. That's the lead from the children, you know, going to school board, people doing cigarette, doing e-cigarette, pass it on and all that. That's a good point. But they will spend like, I don't know how long they spend Lincoln University to do this today. And they come out, some of the local people, even the local council, they will realize this is what the children want in your area. So that's a good point. Maybe try to do something like that. They did study, they work with the children, they ask. You know, that's a good point. It throws something. Some people not realize it, what the children want if you don't ask them.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's maybe an agenda item for this when we actually have some young people here, because then we can have a presentation of what we do and we get some feedback from the people that are involved in it. So yeah, I think valid point. Anybody else got a comment or thoughts? No, that's great. Thank you very much then. So I propose that the panel has reviewed the report and is satisfied with the V4C activities and meetings undertaken within the reporting period, and that we wish to investigate something that's exactly what we do with the chance of the young people. Can I ask you to raise your hand if you're in agreement? Thank you. That's unanimous then. So we now move on to agenda item 7, which is Children in Care Sufficiency Strategy 2023-27. Annual update to the action plan. This item on pages 25 to 44 of the agenda pack provides an annual update to the action plan of the Children in Care Sufficiency Strategy 2023-27, covering the period 2023-24. The report presented by Bridie Fletcher, Senior Commissioning Officer, Children's Commissioning.
No, you give her apologies. I'm sorry, I'm okay.
I do owe you an apology. I missed you out on my original, and I looked at you, and it's still didn't click in my head.
Tick my arm.
I apologise for that. The action required is that we endorse the annual action plan for children in care sufficiency strategy 2023-27, covering 2023-24. Invite Children's Strategic Commissioning to attend in May 2025 to provide an annual update on the action plan for the period 24-25. Over to you, Brad.
Well done, councillor. Lots of dates, so thank you very much for inviting me and letting me come along today. As you've said quite clearly, it's an update on the annual activity covering the period 23-24. So previously we used to attend in January, but we realigned it with the new strategy so that we could come following the end of the previous year, so we could give a more accurate view of kind of a reporting year in terms of activity and align it to reports and end of year data. So we felt that this is a better way forward. The action plan has 5 key areas, so it's a little bit tighter than previous action plans. We wanted to focus on the 5 key areas of interest. And this is the first action plan, so the first annual update of the new current 23-27 strategy. So the 5 areas, we've got the first one of in-house regulated placement. So just a little bit of a whistle-stop tour. I'm not going to go through all of it because the report's fairly detailed and there's lots of information there that have been provided by officers and heads of service. Deborah and Andy in particular contributed a lot of information to the report. So please have a read because it does highlight a huge breadth of activity. In terms of in-house regulated placements, there's been a lot of work this I say this year, I mean 23-24, around foster care recruitment and retention. So DFE have provided a health check. There's some work ongoing around the Foster Link service, practice workshops for the foster carers, and training is now online. So there's lots of really good work around foster care recruitment, making improving and increasing sufficiency of our in-house foster carers, and Deborah's team is working really hard on that. There's effective links with commissioning and their placements team, so the foster duty desk and the commissioning team, placements team are sort of co-located almost just upstairs and work really closely to identify in-house foster placements versus independent foster placement. So that's a really effective working relationship that puts young people's needs front and central, really. We're looking at block placements in terms of commissioning, so where we can identify kind of foster care, independent foster carers. I'll come to that in a separate section, that we can identify best value and where we can maximise placement capacity, really. And all of those are reviewed through the placement management meeting, which is attended by officers, and then there's a strategic overview with the strategic placement management meeting. In terms of in-house residential, the new children's homes, I think all of the new 2, I think, have now opened. So we've increased capacity there as well. That all seems to be great at the moment. And again, though, that capacity is also reviewed through the placement management meeting. Rachel Freeman, who's the head of service for that area, let me know that there's a regional campaign around recruitment of residential staff. So that's being looked at as well to try to improve capacity there, because obviously staffing involved has an impact on the ability to deliver spaces and capacity itself. So that's linked to sufficiency. And in terms of our secure, Lincolnshire Secure unit, that's a piece of work ongoing. It looks like the new, bigger, more improved Lincolnshire Secure unit, it should be ready and completed by the end of 2026. And there are initial conversations ongoing now around a new 7-year contract going forward. The new unit will also increase the number of welfare beds for Lincolnshire, so that will also increase sufficiency and capacity for young people that might need a secure placement for a little bit longer. So that's our in-house regulated placements. In terms of independent regulated placements, it's been a very busy year for commissioning and our placements team. We've had 23-24 has been quite busy in terms of the numbers coming through. We're focusing very much on relationship-based commissioning, so trying to build those effective relationships within Lincolnshire providers with the aim of keeping our young people where we don't have sufficient capacity within our in-house provision, or who have very particular identified needs, because that can sometimes require us to look for an independent placement as well as, so that we keep them as close to home as possible. It means our social workers and our other services that are excellent in Lincolnshire can then wrap around our young people more effectively. And we keep our young people where we feel they're best supported, close to their networks where it's appropriate for them to be. We've worked through fee increases this year. So we're trying to kind of manage that on a regional level where we've got independent providers seeking fee increases, and we provide a significant degree of challenge back to the market around fee increases to keep them proportionate, recognising that there is a recruitment issue. We are seeing increased demand, and other local authorities are also finding the same. So it's a national picture of sufficiency. But nevertheless, commissioning officers are working really hard to build those relationships and keep costs stable and as low as possible, whilst accepting we want high quality placements for our young people if we have to place them in the independent sector. We are seeing a high number of young people with complex needs. And I think that's sort of coming through in terms of some of our placements at the moment. We've got really good relationships with SEND and the CWD teams. And we're working with, so commissioning are working with independent non-maintained special schools in particular to try to maximise independent placements. The majority of those placements in terms of special school placements in the independent sector are day placements, and over 75% of those are within Lincolnshire. So, and what that sort of indicates, obviously 25% are not in Lincolnshire. The majority are still just over the border. So the majority are within touching distance, if you like. We've got a few schools that are a few miles across over in bordering authorities. In terms of commissioning other placements, we're looking at other things going on within commissioning at the moment around we've commissioned CWD support and some mediation, and the speech and language therapy review is ongoing. Our open select lists opened successfully for new placement providers, independent placement providers to join those procurement lists. That opened in June 23 and is about to, it will reopen June, July 24 with the aim of increasing numbers on those lists so that we can again maximise capacity and high quality providers that we can use and approach. And that all sits alongside the transformation program, relationship commissioning, so that we can build those relationships effectively and bring and keep the majority of our children in care within Lincolnshire. The third strand is around supported accommodation. So we have an ongoing contract with NACRO for our youth housing service, which is 72 beds, including some intense support capacity. In terms of occupancy, around mid-March, it's about 89% occupied, and that fluctuates obviously depending on need. It's helpful sometimes to have a little bit of capacity within the system for emergencies, because we do see young people kind of present quite late on in the week, late at night, over a weekend, and the service works really hard to accommodate them. In terms of our spot purchase independent placements with supported accommodation, around 50% are in Lincolnshire, and the majority of those that are outside of Lincolnshire are due to being in an area where that young person wants to be. So maybe we placed them outside of Lincolnshire in the first place when they've been a child in care, either in residential care or in foster care, and that's their network. They would like to live there. And whilst we might encourage them to move back to Lincolnshire for our supported accommodation offer, we listen to the voice of the young people. So sometimes those young people are outside of county. Ofsted registration happened successfully, I think, around October time last year. All of our commissioned providers, so all of those through the US closed ordered list, Bernardo supported lodgings, NACRO, our in-house provision, were all submitted a compliant registration application by the deadline. And we've continued to kind of work with Ofsted, making sure all of our subsequent placements are with Ofsted registered providers. Inspection won't September, it was due to start around April, but Ofsted have delayed it, I think partly due to the numbers within the system. So there was some concern originally that Ofsted registration of supported accommodation for 16, 17-year-olds might result in some providers exiting the market. But we've not really seen that. I think Ofsted have kind of realised that that hasn't happened, and they've got far more providers than they were initially expecting, which is great news for our young people who are now under a regulated quality-led regime. But that just means that they've delayed inspection slightly, but just a little bit longer. So we continue to work with the market in advance of that, and then subsequently after that. In terms of our unaccompanied asylum-seeking children and former US care leavers, numbers have increased last year. So we had 41 referrals through the National Transfer Scheme, including 10 under 16s. So that's a fair number, although at the same time, we're not seeing spontaneous arrivals in any great numbers. They used to all be spontaneous arrivals, but the National Transfer Scheme has kind of put the routes now through that rather than lorry drops or presentations at police centres like it used to be. So we are seeing that through the National Transfer Scheme. We've got 18 young people in foster care, and they are all out of county, but that's a piece of work that we're looking at with the region at the moment and seeing whether things are possible to kind of support more local foster care provision. It's not that we're struggling to place young people in that, but we want them closer to home if possible. We've also created a 12-month age assessment unit that's based in Gainsborough. It's a 4-bedded unit, that with the intention and following some case law that young people that are likely to be under the age of 18, so maybe it's a young person that's been in one of the the adult asylum hotels, or potentially Scampton if it opens, come forward and claim to be a child, and we think that that's probable, they can be accommodated whilst that age assessment is carried out, and they can be accommodated safely and with a level of support from the provider and the social worker pending that, and then they can move to their permanent placement. So that's actually working really well at the moment, and it also allows us to take National Transfer Scheme referrals very quickly, pending a move to their more permanent placement. So again, it's working really well. Young people have access to EAT, so education, employment and training, and virtual school have used pupil premium successfully to increase access to ESOL. Around 68% of our former US care leavers remain in education, compared to, as of this report, certainly about 48% of the wider care leave cohort. So they're really, really well engaged in education and kind of want to kind of, improve their skills so that they can hopefully contribute effectively, get a good job, go on to more education post-decision. So that's really positive as well. Former US care leavers make up about 25% of our care leaver cohort. We're expecting that to rise to about 30% by April 25. Do you get funding for that, for those young people, for all of our US young people from the Home Office? And Andy, as head of service, has been sort of looking at how to use some of that money proportionately to support capacity in both accommodation services and support offer, but also within our children in care and leaving care teams to create capacity to support those young people. The final section is around, sort of the final focus, I suppose, is around care leavers. Ofsted inspected the local authority children's services in April 23, and the standalone judgment for the experience and progress of care leavers was found to be good by Ofsted, but the wider children's services judgment was outstanding, as I'm sure you all know. The inspection did highlight some improvements around that they wanted to see, that they felt that could be better for our care leavers, particularly around the 21+ service. So that's part of the transformation programme. We're already looking at, Andy's working closely with the commission provider Barnardo's to develop the 21+ service, looking at processes, protocols, mosaic recording, all sorts of exciting things that have brought a lot more young people back to the service. So that's really good in terms of post-21 support for our care leavers as well. Commissioning have undertaken a service review of the commissioned Lincolnshire Leaving Care Service. That's been with Barnardo's for a significant number of years, but the decision has been made to insource from April 2025. That's not in any way, shape or form a reflection in terms of the quality of the service, but it does provide us an opportunity to align the service more closely with in-house services. So bring them into children and care teams, sort of make those links more effectively. So we're working through that at the moment. In terms of statistics for our care leavers, 93% on average across the year were in suitable accommodation, and around 48% of our care leavers were engaged in education, employment and training, although Andy has just told me that that's now at about 55%, so that's rising, which is great. As Andy has already said, Local Connection has been agreed to all district councils, which has helped our care leavers access suitable accommodation more effectively across the county. Council tax exemption, free prescriptions, lots of things going on for our care leavers. Supported lodgings offers 23 beds, and that is also Ofsted registered, so that's really positive for those young people. I don't think I've got any more. I think I've galloped through these. There's so much activity going on in terms of capacity, sufficiency, support the past year for all of our children in care, young people and care leavers. Children's commissioning plays a very small part of that, I think. A lot of work is done by the children in care teams, by the corporate parenting manager, by the head of service for care leavers and what you're calling yourself this week, leaving care supported long-term living, help colleagues. You know, there's lots of people around the table creating sufficiency, and sufficiency isn't always about sufficiency of accommodation placements. That plays a very small, a significant part, but some of it is around sufficiency of service and support. And I think there's been a lot of activity around that this year. So I think that summarises our action plan. I just also wanted to say that the sufficiency strategy and the 23-24 market position statement are available online. The market position statement for 24-25 will be online shortly. Just need to finish this data and the statistics for that, and that supports our sufficiency and our work with our placement providers. I encourage them to kind of set up close to home so that we can keep our young people in Lincolnshire where it's safe for them to be, if it's safe for them to be there. So that's my report to corporate parenting. If anybody has any questions, thank you, Councillor.
Thank you very much. Anybody?
Yes, Linda.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the report. Excuse me. On Appendix A, there's so much information there.
There is.
And I was reading in bed last night, but I did get frustrated because there are a lot of, it's a bit corporate. There are a lot of acronyms, abbreviations, like on page 32, PMM, SPPM. So if a report comes in like this, there are some people like me that do read things. It would be quite good if we could have a log, if you're going to use lots of abbreviations.
That's a good point, thank you. I think they could have slipped through. We certainly try to explain an acronym the first time it's used, and after that we tend to use it. I think there's the odd one that might have slipped through. So sorry about.
No,
It's a good point.
happens in the NHS, it happens in the council, but it's a thing that I've got a thing about. It frustrates me because I think, did I miss it first time? And I go back and I can't find it.
That's
But thank you for listening anyway.
Thank
And it was very interesting, all the things that are going on. So thank you for the reply.
Any further comments, questions? No, so I was going to give the opportunity to Andy, but you've done it about the improved education.
I've stolen this thunder.
Absolutely, but he did have the chance to do it last night, and he was quite happy. I think. I found the report very informative. Yeah, I did struggle with some bits. I go, what's that? And then I think, am I meant to know that? But totally straight, thank you. Really informative. So thank you very much. The proposal is that the panel endorses the updated annual action plan for the Children in Care Sufficiency Strategy 2023-27, covering 23-24, and that Children's Strategic Commissioning be invited to attend in May 2025 to provide an annual update on the action plan for the period 24-25. Can I ask you to raise your hands if you're in agreement, please? Yep, no, it's unanimous. But thank you very much once again. Item 8 is the Corporate Parenting Panel Work Programme. This item on pages 45 to 48 of the agenda pack enables the panel to comment on the content of its own work programme. The report will be presented by Tracy Johnson, Senior Scrutiny Officer. The Corporate Parenting Panel is invited to review and approve the work programme and highlight any additional activity which could be included for consideration in the work programme. Tracy, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I have no amendments report to the work programme as published. I would just point out that if the proposed changes are approved at full council next Friday, then we'll need to relook at the work programme to align it with the themed meetings and the performance meetings. So Friday update, for example, might need to come to a different month depending on where the other housing accommodation agreement is under where it would come to. So, but just to highlight that over the next few months, the work programme will be getting realigned to fit in with the theme meetings and performance meetings that is all approved next week.
Okay, and we look to include the comment made by Paul with regard to.
Yes, I can note
Yeah,
that as well.
that's great. And out of Friday's report, there was a comment. Most of my working life has been in sales and marketing management, and there was a comment that says the marketing team are currently designing a marketing strategy. To me, marketing is so important on everything, and I know Deborah's concerned about foster carers. I would like to see a report come back to us about what marketing we do and how it works. If members are thinking the same thing, great. If not, I'm happy to go off on my own little tangent. But I just invite some feedback whether we would like a report on the marketing around everything to do with corporate parenting. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think it's an excellent.
You think it'd be a valuable thing? So if we could look at that as well. Yeah, please, that would be great. Yeah. So that concludes this discussion. I propose that we approve the work programme as detailed on pages 45 to 48 of the agenda back across the items that we've just added. Can I ask you to raise your hand if you're in agreement? Okay. One last thing before I end the meeting. At the beginning, I did say that we're probably going to be using this room more all the time. And just some feedback. Do you feel comfier in here than using the council chamber? Yeah.
A lot warmer.
Yeah. Don't come back and say it's too hot. Yeah, so in general, I think that works well for all of us. So thank you everybody for your attendance. So that includes, it concludes the business of the meeting, and thank you and goodbye.